to the idea of the backlash, what have been the preliminary signs you've noticed?
I believe I already asked that question. No, it's an honest mistake. Honest mistake.
I think it's a slightly different question.
That's fine.
The preliminary signs. I'm gonna go. I think the preliminary signs. It's usually the fact that there'll be a lot of dialogue about it. It depends on how much pride people glean from explaining that we're over. There's a greater amount of pride now in saying that they're tired of DFA than there would have been, say, a couple years ago. A couple years ago, only the real early adopters of hate would have jumped in, like really to be like, I hate, this is bull. They'd explain first how they get it. Look, I've got Giorgio Moroder records too, and then jump right in with the hate. Now, I think people are using more of explain what new things Ed Banger, for instance, Lindstrom was for a moment. Use other things to show that we're not on form and we're not at the front anymore. So that's usually the first signs. It's now early instead of like real leaders. It's early-ish adopters that are pointing out that we're over. Though they keep pointing out that we're over. We've been over for a long time, so I'm enjoying the phasing out period, which seems to be very steady. Yes.
What should your supporters do to counter the haters?
Nothing. I think it's for the best. I'm always open for. I like to defend myself as much as possible because I think people. Actually, it's very fun. Sometimes we'll get attacked. And then they'll have someone who's very supportive, kind of defend in an aggressive way, like you don't know what the hell you're talking about type of stuff. And I always prefer to defend myself in a kind of as measured and balanced a way as I possibly can, because usually somebody has a good point when they attack us. So if we get kind of slammed for something, there's usually some good point to it. And I don't think it's worth just discounting people for taking exception to, I don't know, being on a major label or not touring in their town in particular. But in the end, I'm pretty proud of what we do, so I feel okay defending myself. So nobody needs to do that. Yes.
You've often played yourself off as like a Williamsburg act, but the Marfa Daily Dispatch said you are more Eldridge and Canal than Roebling and Grand. And Google Maps shows that you live in Manhattan. Which is it Williamsburg or Manhattan?
I personally I've always fought against the Williamsburg label because DFA is in Manhattan and we were presumed to be from Brooklyn for the last 8 years. And I lived in Manhattan since '89 until recently when I was priced out. Well, I was priced out. I lived for free on the floor of my office, so priced out means I didn't want to get an apartment of any kind because it was all seemed very expensive since I had last paid rent. So I now live in Williamsburg. No gas. With all the rest of my people.
So do you agree with the characterization of Eldridge Canal or not? Do you think that?
Not Eldridge and Canal. I'm a West Village guy. I was a West Village guy for a very long time, not a Lower East Side guy. So I think they're both inaccurate.
10th and 4th.
I was a Washington and 7th. But I like Roebling and Grand as a description because I think it kind of sounds like Philip Marlowe. He was Roebling and Grand. There's like something kind of that indicates possibly dumpy and full of himself. So, hey, well, that works.
Was that a dig?
At me? Yeah. It was from the movie, the film Dig. And you were...
Yeah, I was just, this question may not be for all of us, but what in the hell is an LCD Soundsystem?
It's a meaningless name that disappears because it only indicates my band. I'm very excited about that. I remember as a little kid one day that I after knowing the police for about 3 years, I found there was a police fan club which had a symbol of a police badge, and I was like, why would they? Oh, right, that means something. And I was very excited by the fact that band names become something meaningless, except they mean the band. And that when you say, oh, the police are playing, nobody gets an image of cops. They just get an image of the self-indulgent bastard with 2 talented musicians. Damn you, Stuart Copeland. Anyone?
Now that Britney Spears